technique or two to develop self-worth. I have one I call the sacred six, which is you forgive yourself, number one, apologize and forgive yourself for all the things you've said and done to yourself. Because if we were our own friend, we would be the worst friend we've ever had. We lie to ourselves, we cheat ourselves, we negotiate ourselves out of everything we want. Like, we're not very good friends to ourselves. So you clean the slate by forgiving yourself and apologizing. And then step two is you commit to do what you say you're going to do. So like, there's no more, letting yourself down. You just commit to do what you say you're going to do. And if you look at the bottom line, that's a decision. So you make a decision. Again, people want to make it more difficult than that. It's not more difficult than that. Just like if you're a drug addict, you're making a decision to do those drugs. Now, again, I don't care why you're making the decision, but that's what you're doing. Why? Because I've seen people stop. And they made a decision that they're going to stop. Now, did it take work? Absolutely. Was it difficult? I would assume. But at the end of the day, it was a choice, wasn't it? It was a decision. So you commit to do what you say you're going to do, which is really you make a decision to do what you say you're going to do from now on. That's step two. Step three is you start to rack up the wins. To me, racking up the wins means, what did I do today worth doing? So in my opinion, brushing your teeth is a win. And, making your bed is a win, and working out is a win, and eating right is a win. And, making one more sales call is a win, and yada, yada. There's so many wins you can create throughout the day. It's ridiculous. But you just want to create a lot of wins throughout the day, because confidence is really just the memory of winning, isn't it? So you want to win a lot, and you can't erase memories, but you can replace them. And you replace them with positive ones of you winning. So instead of you losing all the time, and you letting yourself down all the time, and you procrastinating and lying all the time, you're going to replace those with winning all the time. And believe it or not, dude, when you win a lot, you feel more like a winner than if you lose a lot. So again, people think, wow, that's crazy. Dude, that's not rocket science. If you want to feel like a winner, win. Like, win all the time. Now, who gets to decide whether it's a win or not? Technically, who gets to decide that? Not everybody else. If you're smart, you get to decide that. So you decide whether eating one less French fry is a win. Don't listen to some fitness coach telling you can't have French fries. Tomorrow I'm going to have one less French fry. And then the next day I'm going to continue to outdo it. And pretty soon I'm having no French fries. But if someone were to tell me just chop out French fries, and now all of a sudden I don't do it because that seems dramatic, wouldn't it have been better if I just chopped out one? So again, it's literally lowering your goals to a daily basis, and save the big goals for a macro basis. Because what you need to do is win a lot. And so you create these wins all throughout the day, so you can acknowledge consciously that you're winning all throughout the day. And by the end of the day, dude, you're going to be in a good mood because you've been kicking ass all day. And right, you're going to start to walk a little taller and feel like you deserve a little bit more, which will be automatic. And it's true, you do. But what's funny is you deserve a little bit more. And then you start to act like you deserve a little bit more. And that's when step 4 comes into play. That's when you got to get rid of all the idiots, the haters and the headlines. Because, dude, when you start saying you deserve more, hey, don't forget, bro, you're a freaking alcoholic. Don't forget you didn't graduate high school, chief. Don't start walking around being all cocky and arrogant. You didn't even graduate. You got some sort of addiction. Okay. Don't think you're cured. I hear that all the time when I'm talking to alcoholics, quote unquote alcoholics. And again, I don't mean to argue with AA and all these organizations. And I know you do work with certain people for whatever reason. So I'm sure you might disagree with this. But if I'm an alcoholic and I stop drinking and I haven't drank for 16 years, in my mind, that's no longer an alcoholic. So you can tell me in AA that I'm not cured and I'm always going to be an alcoholic. I don't believe you. Because an alcoholic, describe one. It would be, describe one. So like, for example, someone that, sneaks alcohol and has to drink so they can survive and exist. Well, I haven't drank in 16 years. So how am I one of those? But they get you thinking this because they want you to be aware. And that's all it is awareness. So once you're aware that you deserve more and you feel like you deserve more, you start to act like it. And believe it or not, that's what is really making a big difference. But that's when people will come out of the woodwork, say, I like you better the way you were. Don't overdo it, dude. Come on, man. You know, you don't need to work out every day, dude. You're getting too skinny. You don't even look healthy anymore. Whatever they're trying to get you to stop doing, that's what happens. So step 4 to building that self-worth is to get rid of any negative people. Anybody that's not encouraging you or helping you, you in my book, you eliminate. And when I say eliminate, it doesn't mean kill them. It doesn't mean never talk to them again. It means shut off their ability to enter into your mind as legitimate information. Like you just literally say, nothing they say, I will take into consideration. You don't deserve a nicer car. No, whatever. Step 5, you need to map out and visualize exactly where it is that you want to go. Because a lot of times people say, I want to do this or I want to do that, but it's too generic. And they can't visualize it on a regular basis. Because in order to visualize something, if I said and visualize your perfect car, what pops into your head real quick?
Who, me? It would be probably the car that I have parked out front right now. I have a Jeep Rubicon Gladiator.
But you just pictured it, didn't you?
Of course.
Yeah, so you can't picture something that you don't know what it is. So I tell people you have to map out and determine what exactly success looks like for you. Not based on the societal norms, because then you might reach it and not be happy. Ask yourself, it's the hardest part. Figure out exactly what you want and then visualize already having it. That's the 5th thing. And then the 6th thing is to seek new information every day. Because the reason we do what we do is because we believe what we believe. And if we want to change our beliefs, we need new information. So you have to reevaluate things. You have to get new information on a regular basis so you can change your perspective, change your belief. And then that will allow you to change your actions, because you get what you get because you do what you do. And you do what you do because you believe whatever it is you believe. And it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it true just because you believe it, but it is what causes you to act. So if you want to change your behavior, you have to change your beliefs. And so that's seeking new information on a regular basis. So if you do those 6 things, 1, forgive yourself, apologize, forgive yourself, wipe the slate clean. 2, commit to do what you say you're going to do. Start to be a man, right? Start to do what the fuck you say you're going to do. Quit being a bitch, quit being a pussy, quit letting yourself down. Just don't agree to do something is easier than breaking your word. Like, decide to keep your word. It's like when I quit smoking. I smoked cigarettes. I couldn't quit smoking cigarettes until one day I decided to quit smoking cigarettes. And the catalyst was, I'm more powerful than this cigarette. Because I am, and you are, and so is everybody. They just don't know it. We are very powerful beings. A cigarette cannot keep you from doing it. Whatever addiction you have is not stronger than you, period. You just don't know that. Well, I knew that. Why? Well, I don't know. Thankfully, I just knew it. But point being is I flicked out a cigarette because I wanted to prove myself I'm more powerful than that cigarette. Never smoked one again. I can do it all the time, so that would make me not addicted. Now, some people could say, Brad, didn't you say you were addicted to crack cocaine for 3 days? No, I went on a 3-day crack smoking binge. Like, stupid, but still, why wasn't I addicted to crack? Am I a crackhead now because that happened? Am I a crackhead for life because I was a crackhead for a day or two? No, I'm not a crackhead just because I freaking did crackhead shit, right? See, that's a perspective. Someone else could say, yeah, that would theoretically make you a crackhead. It doesn't make me one. Same thing with any addiction, drinking, porn, anything and everything that comes to an addiction. I believe it's the same. You are more powerful than that addiction. You are not addicted. You are deciding because of your rationalizing and your negotiations with yourself. And that's why you end up doing it again, because you haven't decided, number one, and you haven't became aware that you're more powerful than you think. So those 6 things: forgive yourself, apologize, wipe the slate clean, commit to do what you say you're going to do, which is really just a decision. So you start feeling like you deserve more. Racking up the wins on a regular basis. And that's easy to do. You decide what a win is. Just do 10 or 15 of them a day where you're winning all day long. Over time, you start to feel like a winner. It just naturally starts to happen. You'll walk taller, talk faster, think clearer. And then you'll start looking around at yourself and you'll be like, shit, I can do better than this. And then you'll start doing better than this and demanding better than this and talking different and acting different. And then people will start attacking that. So you have to watch out for those people and keep them away, because there's a lot of people that won't be, but there will be people that freaking draw you back in with negative bullshit. So you just get rid of those people. Then you figure out exactly what success looks like for you. So when you reach it, you've seen it for a minute. You know exactly what it looks like, and you can visualize it on a regular basis, and then get new information on a regular basis. So you get smarter and more valuable, and it really causes you to think. And then once you think more, you'll start to say, hey, I kind of think differently now. Well, that's changing your beliefs. And as soon as you change your beliefs, bro, that's when everything changes.
The 40-hour work week is for losers. Straight up. I mean, the 40-hour work week is designed for survival. And look, most people aren't even doing that. They say that the average American has $103,000 in, they're 103 grand in debt. The average American is $103,000 in debt. So people who are working these 40-hour work weeks, they make just enough to scrape by, but they're still maxing out credit cards. They're still getting themselves into debt. They're working unfulfilling jobs around a bunch of people who don't want to be there. And the truth is, if you actually want to become financially successful, there's two things that you need to do. It's a two-pronged approach. You have to get very good at whatever it is that you're doing, right? You have to learn skills, develop your skills, learn new skills that are in demand. And you have to be okay with working a lot, because the world is fucking competitive. There are people like me. All I do is fucking work. All I do is fucking work. I'm a multi-fucking millionaire. I don't need to work as long and as hard as I do, but I do it anyway because it makes me feel good, and because I'm not content, and because I know the second that I just take a step back, or, turn the volume down a little bit, that's when I'm inviting complacency in. That's when I'm beginning to subscribe to this ideology that average people do. So the reality of it is, you have to be willing to work a lot. And there's a formula for this. 40 hours, again, that's just survival. 40 hours is the 40-hour work week is modern day slavery. It's modern day slavery. They're paying you just enough for you to be able to keep a roof over your head, eat some food that's making you fatter and sicker and more lethargic and destroying your mental health. Every hour after 40, you have to look at as an investment in your future. And if you work 60 hours plus per week, your success over the long term is virtually guaranteed. And if you do not, then you're going to have an issue, because we're sold this idea. You got to go to college, you got to get a good job, you got to get married, and you got to buy a house and all these things. Well, what's happening is people are going to college, they're accumulating immense debt that is unforgivable, right? They're now entering the real world, working a job for 40 hours a week, and they're expected to do that for 40 years. And then at the end of it all, right, this is what they sell people on. They sell people on this idea that at the end of it all, you work 40 hours for 40 years. At the end of it, you have retirement and you have this pension. And really what that is that's them paying you 40% of what you couldn't even live on in the fucking first place. And people aren't conscious of that. So the reality of it is, if you want to make a lot of money, you have to get very good at what you do. You have to be intentional about improving your skill set, and you have to become a problem solver. Problem solvers are value adders. If you are not an entrepreneur, you get to develop an entrepreneur mindset. And what that really translates to is just taking ownership, taking responsibility, treating the business, treating your workplace as if, you are the one that's paying for the toilet paper, the pens, and the stationery and things like that. And the second thing I mentioned, it's a two-pronged approach as it relates to establishing financial freedom, is you have to invest. You cannot save your way to financial freedom, and it's not fucking possible. And to add to that, you don't need to be making a certain amount of money to invest. And this is a resistance point that you commonly hear. People will say, and I know people say this because I was one of those people for quite some time until I improved my financial literacy. People will say to themselves, oh, well, I'll start investing when I make more money. I'll start investing whatever. But the truth is, if you can't discipline yourself to invest at 20K a year, you won't be able to invest at 200K a year. You have to establish the patterns and the behaviors and the disciplines as early as possible. And the good part about investing is you don't need to be a finance expert to start investing. And I don't want to necessarily talk in detail about the different things that I invest in, but I've invested in other businesses. I have significant holdings in crypto, and I invest in the market. But when I started, when I didn't really understand investing, I didn't really know what to invest in, because that's another resistance point people have. So I don't know what to invest in. Invest in a low cost index fund like the S&P 500. There's no risk. It's going to produce 10% consistent returns. And again, there's no risk, and you don't have to know a fucking thing about a certain company and the CEO, because the S&P 500, the VU 500, these low cost index funds, they are basically like a combination of the 500 top businesses. So you're basically betting on the top 500 businesses. And again, there's no risk. Now, and then once you're in the game, you start paying a little more attention to it. But the reality of it is, financial freedom is not going to happen by you just working for 40 fucking years and getting a retirement pension of 40% of what you couldn't even live on in the first place. It's going to happen as a direct result of you establishing financial discipline and improving your financial literacy, improving your overall relationship with money, being okay speaking about money. If you're not, you don't have the strongest financial acumen, I completely understand. A lot of people don't. I didn't grow up with people teaching me this stuff. I grew up poor, right? I had to teach myself this stuff. So you got to seek out the information, right? People say that money is important to them. People, if you ask 10 people, 10 out of 10, they say, oh yeah, money's important to me. So, well, how often are you talking about money? How often are you thinking about money? When's the last time you read a book on money, right? When's the last time you put in a purposeful intention to improve on your financial acumen or financial IQ? And the answer for most people is they haven't done that. But the truth is, you don't want to be a slave your entire life. And if you don't become very good at what you do and you're not investing, that's exactly what's going to happen. A common resistance point people have to not striving to be the best that they could at their job is, oh, well, I'm not passionate. I don't love my job. You don't have to be proud of your job, but as a man, especially, you have to be proud of your work, because it is an extension of you. It's an extension of your character. It's an extension of your honor. It's an extension of your values. And follow your passion is another narrative that is purported in society. And a lot of people have been convinced that if they're not really passionate about something, that means they should just apply a half-ass effort and they shouldn't try very hard. Following your passion is the worst advice you could give somebody who's starting out, because most people are passionate about video games, about jerking off to porn, about things that add no value to their life. But the thing about passion is it can be developed. It can absolutely be developed. Become passionate about being the best. Become passionate about making a lot of money. Become passionate about elevating the people around you. Become passionate about self-mastery. And when you flip that paradigm, it just changes everything. And that's one of the things that happened in 2016 with me. Was up until that point, I didn't like the business. I didn't like the nature of the business. I didn't like the work that I did. I didn't like the people I was working around. But it was because my perspective was just completely fucked. I was focusing on all the wrong things. I was sold on this idea, follow your passion. Like, I'm supposed to show up every day to work. And I'm supposed to wake up every day and just feel so inspired to, go in and just give high fives to everybody. And I'm like, well, fuck, that ain't happening. So maybe I need to do something else. But once I started to become passionate about being the best, that is when we started to see significant success. We grew 336% in 2016. 336%. That's significant growth. And, that happened as a result of me raising my standards, becoming intolerant of the standards that I previously held, and just becoming obsessed. So obsessed and so disciplined to the point where other people thought I was psycho. I didn't give a fuck, to making sure that our company and our team was the best out there.
Yeah. And you created an environment and culture. So maybe, to the guys out there, entrepreneurship, business ownership is not going to be for everybody. There's going to be a small segment that is, on that journey. What should a guy be looking for, though, in a company culture that's going to maybe brew that environment where he can step in and he can go above and beyond? Because you and I both know that there are going to be some companies that don't appreciate that and don't acknowledge it, and actually they suppress it. So what are some of the traits, maybe that you've done within Nutrition Solutions, or just open, that a guy can look for and saying, hey, this is a company that's actually going to value me if I go the extra mile?
I think as a young man, if you are unsure of what your path is going to be in life, I think the best thing that you can do is work a manual labor job where the work is really hard, the hours are shit, and it is just a grueling, mentally taxing job, because those are the jobs that build character. And when you're young, okay, and they also pay very well, by the way. And when you're young, you have basically unlimited energy. So it's an opportunity for you to develop your character, to develop work ethic, and to stack money. I'm not saying you need to do that for the rest of your life, but you can start making some good money if you're willing to work hard. Most people aren't willing to work hard, which is why most people don't make money, period, let alone in their early 20s. So I think you could do something like that, but you absolutely know that there are not many companies out there that prioritize culture. I mean, corporate America is modern day slavery. It is literally modern day slavery. You look at what slavery was back when it was legal. I don't think people realize that slavery wasn't, the slave owners didn't have the slaves chained up in the barn or whatever, right? They gave them room. They gave them board, and the slaves gave them their labor, right? And now in a more civilized world, in modern times, we have these corporations that, again, they expect you to be there 40 hours a week doing unfulfilling work around a bunch of people who do not want to fucking be there. So you're in this low vibrational space, and you're not able to get ahead financially. So you're stressed out. You're stressed out about that. After work, you're, jerking off to porn or ordering pizza or chasing whatever little dopamine rush to try to, I guess, mask the fact that you were discontent with your own existence, getting high every night. Like the truth is, a corporate environment is your path. I think it's very important that you just develop an iron mindset, because again, being aware of certain things will allow you to kind of navigate around some of the more detrimental parts. But as a general rule, I think that people should avoid corporate jobs at all cost. Absolutely at all cost.
You want to listen to somebody who has what you want and has been where you are. There are tons of people, myself included, that started off in a lower middle class family. And there are tons of people that I know that started off poor. I have one of my mentors growing up was a guy named Dexter Yeager, who was in the Amway business. He lived in an alley on Rome, New York, in a trailer. And I had another fellow who lived in a double wide. He lived in a double wide trailer. That was how he grew up. They didn't go to college. I didn't go to college. I virtually flunked out of high school. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any funding. All I had was a dream. And I was willing to work 7 days a week. I was willing to do whatever it took and manifest my dreams. Arnold Schwarzenegger came from poverty. He didn't come to America with any money. You hear his story. He was sleeping in the back of a gym on the floor when he was starting off. So there are tons of people that started off flat broke, that had nothing, no education. Schwarzenegger didn't even speak English very well. He still doesn't speak English very well, and achieved massive success. There are tons of immigrants who come to this country that are incredibly hardworking, that don't speak our language, that don't have college educations, that have no money. They come over and they work 7 days a week. A lot of them, I grew up, I worked in a restaurant, and there was a Greek guy who owned the restaurant. It was a very successful restaurant. And I asked him, I said, how did you become successful? He says, my family left Greece and came to America. They worked in restaurants and they slept in the back. They saved up enough money to bring the rest of the family. We all slept in the back of the restaurant, and we all worked in the restaurant 7 days a week. Then we saved up enough money and we bought our own restaurant, and we all slept in the back, and we had a little apartment above the restaurant. And we saved up our money and we worked 7 days a week. Then we bought a house and we bought a bigger restaurant. Now we're rich. And this is the American dream, right? Entrepreneurship, opportunity. But this is what people born in America don't get. They don't understand delayed gratification. They ain't willing to put the work in first. They want to plant the seed today and they want to get the harvest tomorrow. That's not how it works. You plant a seed for an apple tree, you ain't getting a harvest for 10 years. You know, there's a time period, and most people aren't willing to put forth the effort. When you look at Arnold as an example, or guys who want to build up their body, you can understand it. Okay, you look in the mirror, you're disgusted, you want to build up your body, you go into the gym, you drink your protein shake, you go to the gym, you pump the iron, then you come home and you look in the mirror. Oh, guess what? Your body didn't change. Do you quit? No, you don't expect it to change in one day. And you don't expect it to change in a week. And nor do you expect it to change in a month. But you continue to go into that gym every single day and watch your diet and take your protein and your supplements. And you know, 6 months from now, I'm going to see some changes. You're not going to get to your goal in 6 months, but you're willing to pay the price for success. And here's the thing. People always say, well, I don't know if I'm willing to pay the price for success. Let me tell you something. You pay a price whether you succeed or fail. You either pay the price for success or you pay a much bigger price for failure. And then people always say, but Kevin, if I do this, it's going to take 3 years before I start seeing any results. Well, guess what? If you don't do it 3 years from now, you're not going to see any results. 3 years are going to pass anyway. One guy told me, he says, Kevin, do you know how old I'll be in 5 years? I go, well, if you don't do this, how old are you going to be in 5 years? You're going to be the same age, except it's broker, you know?
Yeah, the story with the restaurant there, and same with Arnold, right? It's, you know, it's that immigrant edge. You know, they come from something that isn't America. They don't have the hope, the opportunity, and they're grateful just for that chance. And I think sometimes when we're from here, when we're surrounded with this comfort, this ease, everything that we have access to, that gratitude can be lacking. Kevin, what role does gratitude specifically play in attracting more money, wealth, and success?
Gratitude and appreciation is a mentality that has to be added. It's one of the 25 ingredients, but you can't live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in gratitude and appreciation for where you're at and everything you're in, because then the universe isn't going to give you anything different. Because you're saying everything's fine. So it's part of the formula and it's one of the ingredients, but you have to go through those cycles. You know, there was a great scene in Rocky where he's fighting Clubber Lang, and he had reached the top, and, you know, he got complacent. He didn't have any drive anymore, and he got beat up, and then he's going to fight him the second time. And he's in the corner, and Clubber Lang is, you know, beating him and just beating the crap out of Rocky. And they're in the corner going, what is he doing? What is he doing? And the guy says, he's getting mad. And it was like, you could feel it. Your whole body started to tingle. It's like, yeah, he's getting mad because he needed to get mad. He needed to feel pain. He needed to say, I am not going to take this anymore. And that's the drive I talked about earlier that then motivated him to come forward. I'll give you one thing that guys make a big mistake. And if there's any guys listening, whether you're trying to get into a relationship, if you're in a relationship, or in life, you're trying to go in your job, the big mistake is indecision. Women and other men love men who are decisive. And the challenge guys have is they're afraid to make a bad decision. So let me tell you something. Here's the good news. There are no bad decisions. You can never get it wrong. You're just going to go on a different road. You can't get it wrong. Napoleon, and I won't say it in French because my French is poor, but Napoleon said, audacity, more audacity, always audacity. General George Patton said it best, I think. He said, a good plan implemented violently today is always better than the best plan implemented tomorrow. Take action now and be decisive. So as an example, I walk into a restaurant, I'm with a gal, I walk right up to the hostess, I raise the volume of my voice a little bit. I go, hi, reservations for Trudeau. Oh, yes, right this way. I'm decisive, I'm confident, because when you are decisive, your level of confidence and self-assurance goes up and it makes you very attractive. You're not arrogant, You're not condescending. You're respectful and very nice. You can be a gentleman. You can be as sweet as you want, but it's confidence and decisiveness. She takes me to the table, and it's like right next to the door of the kitchen or something. And I say, "Excuse me, can I have that table over there?" Again, I say it with a smile. I'm respectful, but I'm decisive. And oh, yes, sir. And they take me over. I get the menu. I open. I quickly decide what I want. I shut the menu, or the waitress comes over. So, would you like some water? Yes, I'd like bottled water. Still, no lemons, no limes, no ice, please. And I say it with a smile. And the woman's sitting here going, "This guy knows exactly what he wants in life." And she starts getting cozy to me. Is that coming over? It happens all the time. Because you're making decisions, you're decisive, you have a level of confidence without being arrogant, without being controlling, while being completely respectful and completely nice. And this makes you very attractive to whether it's women or even in a business scenario, other men find you very attractive too, because you have that leadership quality because you raised your game.
What's the one core mindset, belief that somebody that you've seen that wins in the finance game, that wins at not just paying off the debt, but then going on to create financial freedom, to create generational wealth? What's the mindset that this person holds that everybody else doesn't have?
Yeah, man. They live in the future. They live in the future. They live as if they already know what their 6 year, 7 year, 10 year is supposed to look like. And they live like that. They live, hey, listen, in order for me to be like that, I can't be spending money in the now. I can't be buying things that aren't of value, right? I can't be buying cars that are going to put me in debt. I can't be buying clothes that are too expensive, are out of my my budget, right? And they live in the future. They live in the and they from that. I heard a great saying, man. You got to pull yourself from the future. So you got to act as if you're 10 years older right now, and you're pulling yourself to that 10-year mark, and your 10-year-old self, or your 10-year-old, future self. What is he saying to you? He's probably saying, bro, you really don't need that car. You really don't need this. You really don't need that. Maybe you should focus in on paying this off, or investing here and investing elsewhere. Chances are, man, our self right now, where we are right now, we would love to have a conversation with our 10-year-old self in the past, and you probably redirect where you are right now in life, whether it's good or bad, right? But sometimes we wish that we can talk to ourselves 10 years back and say, man, this isn't where this is what you should be doing. This is how you should be living. This is how you should be eating. This is how you should be working out, right? And so that's what I've realized. People who are advancing faster than most, they are living in the future, man. They are living in, where they want to be in 10 years. And they know for some reason that what they're purchasing now isn't something that's going to help them get to their goals and dreams, And so, yeah, that's, and they use that from listening to people who've gone through it, man. I think, there are books out there, there's audios out there that are written by people who've experienced and overcome situations that we're trying to overcome. So we need to be listening to these podcasts. We need to be listening to these books so that we can better our generation, our next generation, right? And our kids as well, too. So
I love that, man. What's the saying there? We use money we don't have to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. Right? And it's like, if you could, instead of doing things for the acceptance of other people, begin to live your life in the acceptance of the 10-year version future of yourself. You familiar with the Solomon paradox?
What is that?
So it's this concept that we are better. Solomon, right? King Solomon, wrote the book of Proverbs, obviously one of the, the wisest, richest man of all time. If you see the end of his life, though, like, he really kind of fell off. He didn't live a great end of his life. He had everything. He was, on God's heart, like just all of these great things. But his life towards the end of it was just disastrous. Well, we point to him as this source of true wisdom, but the man couldn't coach and counsel himself. And the Solomon paradox is that it's a concept or belief that we are better at giving advice to others than we are at giving advice to ourselves. I mean, most people know how to get in shape and they'll tell other people what to do. Most people know how to save money and they'll tell other people what to do. Most people know how to get a great relationship and keep it, and they'll tell other people what to do. But when they look at their life, it's like their life is in shambles, right? So if we could begin to actually maybe have conversations, there's a great content creator out there, Alex Hormozy. A lot of the audience is probably going to be familiar with Alex. He talks about this practice that he has, where he literally opens up a Word document and has a conversation with the 85-year-old version of himself. He'll say, hey, Alex of 85-year-old version, I'm struggling with this right now. What do you think is the best piece of advice? And he'll go back and forth. And this is kind of like becomes one of his biggest mentors. And I think it's speaking so true to what we're talking about here. Begin to live in the future. Begin to look back from the future at what you're doing today. Is this the best decision? Is buying the gas grill going to set me up for 10 years down the road? Or can I get a George Foreman? You know what I mean? It's like these little kind of things, but it's us, like you said, thinking into the future. I talk a lot about the men that we work with, right? We need to have a vision for our life that we can live without pornography. So once again, all these principles of success are universal. What's going to help you in finances, is going to help you in your fitness, going to help you in your recovery. It's going to help you in your faith. It's going to help you in your family across the board.
You know, it's really funny you say that, Frank, because my dad, you know, growing up every New Year's, man, you brought me back, man. You brought me back to when I was a teenager. Every New Year, he'll sit us down on the 30th of December, and he was like, okay, we're big on goals. In our family, we do goals for everything, man. We love goals. We love achieving our goals. And it was because of this conversation that he had with us. He would sit down with us and say, okay, Eric, I need you to write a letter to yourself for December of the next year. And I need you to title it like this. My name is Eric Ortiz. It is December 30th, 2000, the next year, 2000, in this case, 2024. I am currently, you know, this size, you know, when I was working out, I'm trying to hit, I'm currently at this size. I am running this amount. I'm, you know, all the goals that we have. And to this day, we do that. And we say, today, my name is Eric Ortiz. This is December 30th, 2024. I am completely debt free. I have $1 million saved up. I have kids' education for all my children. They're all saving at least $40 a month. Now they have $50,000 in their name, like specific goals for each person and each thing, and talking to yourself in the next year, right? And so December 2023 or 2024 comes out. We get that letter. We read it, and it's surprising to know that most of the time you've accomplished 80 to 90% of the goals on there. Right, but the key is he would have us put that letter on our bathroom window growing up. So anytime we go to the bathroom, whatever, it's right there, and we're looking at it, you know. And then throughout the year, it's crazy to think at the end of the year, like I said, 80 to 90% of the goals that we've written out have been accomplished. Right, and so that has been something that we've done, and I'm going to start instilling it to my kids right now because they're 5, 2, and 1. But when they get a little bit older, we're going to put that together as well too. You know, so yeah, man, you got to have them.
I love that. And I think, you know, the key there is you're writing it as if it's happened, right? You know, that makes it tangible, and that makes it's real. You know, you talked at the beginning here about what keeps people from failing. It's like not having a plan. Well, there's your plan, right? You know, if you know exactly in a year from now where I'm going to be, not where I want to be, where I am going to be. And then I think it's so crucial that you saw it every single day. You know, most people, they'll write something down on January 1st, they'll put it in a notebook, and then they'll just store it away. And then, you know, maybe they'll look at it in April after they've already given up on the plan. Maybe they don't even ever look at it again until they pull the journal out to write the next year's plan down, right? They're like, holy shit, I said I wanted to do that. Why didn't I accomplish any of it? But having it smack dab in the middle of the face every single day. I talk a lot about the reticular activating system. This is the part of our brain that shows us what we tell it to be important. Well, if every day I'm looking at where my finances are going to be 12 months from now, that's me telling my brain, my subconscious, that is important. So my brain is going to work and operate when I'm not even aware of it to bring those things into existence. Who do I need to know? What opportunities do I need to explore? Who do I need to have on my team over here? What job do I maybe need to start? What side hustle do I need to get going? What things in the basement or in the garage do I need to sell? You'll begin to look and figure these things out just subconsciously because you're telling your brain every single day, hey, this is where we're going to be in 12 months from now. We better make it happen. Dude, I love that, man. I love that so much.
That was so cool, man. And the best part of it was when friends came over and they saw it, they're like, dude, this guy has direction. This guy has goals, you know. I got to start doing this. You know, and we have some buddies that we've grown up with that they're starting to do with their kids now, you know. So it's awesome, man. I would say try it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? That you accomplish 40, 50% of the goals you put on there, you know?
You'll be a lot further away than where you are if you accomplish none of them, man.